So you're designing a fashion range and you want to know how much to price your fashion products for. It's something that a lot of designers wonder about at the start, but the reality is many leave the decision until way too late. So in this video, I want to tell you how and when you should price your fashion products. If you're new around here, welcome. I'm Vicki, founder of The Fashion Business Coach, the platform that helps small and startup fashion brands to launch and scale successfully. You're watching one of my weekly videos in which I give you some free training on a particular aspect of running a fashion business and being a fashion brand owner. So if you haven't subscribed or followed along already, depending on which channel you're watching on, make sure that you do so that you can catch the free content each and every week. So this week we're talking about pricing, and as I said in the intro, so many people leave this until way too late. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You are designing your products, you're getting your tech packs ready, you're starting to approach manufacturers, and you're going to base the price on how much the manufacturer says the production's going to cost. Probably sounds familiar, right? That's what most people who are new to the fashion industry do, and it really concerns me basically, which is why I'm making this video, because if you do that, you're really leaving yourself open to being dictated to by the factory costs. And long story short, what can happen is that your product ends up being too expensive for your customer, because generally what tends to happen with this, you design your product, get your tech pack, show it to the factory will say it's this much, then you'll calculate a price that you want to sell it at. And the problem is with that is, as I say, it often comes out too high because you've not put any thought in before as to, okay, well, do I need to be controlling costs? And if so, how do I do that? And then obviously you're going to try and sell a product that's too expensive for your target audience, and then you don't make any sales. And we don't want that happening for you. So the reality is you need to decide on the price of the product before you start designing. Yes, I said before you start designing, and no, I'm not insane. That's actually what I've done for every brand I've ever worked for. Anybody who's let me make that decision at least. So all of the big brands that I've worked for, so for 12 years I worked for big corporate brands, and we always made that decision before we even knew what we were designing. We knew how many of, say, dresses, skirts, tops, etc. we had, and what the price point was going to be for each of those styles. And then for me as a designer, that made my job a lot easier, because I could think, okay, so this dress is going to be $200. I need to design something that's worth $200. Or on the flip side, I might have been working for a designer brand and the dress was $1,500. And obviously I adjust the quality expectations and the level of detail and the quality of the fit and all that sort of thing accordingly. So you really need to be doing that as well. The other thing is, as you may not be aware if you're new to the industry, different kinds of sewing methods and techniques are going to add or reduce cost. So you're probably going to be working with someone like myself on tech packs who is experienced and able to basically reduce the number of samples that you need by doing a really good quality tech pack. And they also are going to need to know how much you want to sell stuff for, because then they can use construction methods in accordance with the kind of price that you want to achieve. So that's something that I really wanted to make this video about, so that you're aware that actually before you start designing, you want to be thinking about the price point, you want to be thinking about the target customer and how much they can afford. You want to be looking at your competitors and seeing at what kind of price point they are sitting at as well, so that when you do actually get that end product and when you do get that factory cost, you can either say, okay, yep, that fits in line with what I wanted to spend, all good, or it might be a case of then negotiating with the factory. And in a professional fashion environment, it's very rare that we accept the first price. There's usually a pretty lengthy negotiation process in place. In fact, those big companies that I mentioned that I work for, we would tend to have 2 to 3 weeks kind of allocated in our timeline for negotiations, because there would be quite a lot of backwards and forwards. So do keep that in mind as well from a timeline perspective. So I hope that's been helpful. If you want to learn even more on this topic, and we'll go into a bit more depth on how this works, and also learn about manufacturing and how you can control your manufacturer, work with your supplier, etc., I have a free masterclass which you can register for below. I'll send that link, or I'll include that link in the description. And as always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions on this or suggestions for the next video. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye.